Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? 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 We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. Y'all, it has been a journey the last couple of weeks, so I'm sure that most of you have been following along, but I went out on tour with my show Under the Sun and then headed right to the AZA conference, then right to the AAZV conference. Those are the last two Tuesday episodes that you heard, and then I took a trip home that involved hitting up some other facilities and getting some extra content for y'all there. And I'm finally almost back home. This episode is dropping on Friday, September 29th, and I will have just gotten home the morning this episode drops after spending 2 days with my son Miles, which is a home of a different type. So pretty exciting, but I have been gone for over a month. And those of you that follow the podcast, you know that I'm a touring musician. I spend a lot of time on the road, but this was the first time that I've been, for lack of a better word, touring with the podcast. I've done some small trips and I've even managed to, get in a lot of visits at places while on tour drumming. But this was a solid 3 of these 4 weeks were just being on the road with the podcast. It was a really unique experience. I had a ton of fun and I'm excited for all the cool content to share with y'all. But I'm not going to lie. I am ready to be home. I'm ready to see my dogs. I am ready to crawl into the bed that is my bed. Yeah, that's kind of the hardest part about traveling. Kind of get a different bed every night and you're like, I wonder if this one will be okay. And then your back tells you the next morning. But what can I say though? It has been incredible. I've been to a ton of amazing facilities and we've got a lot of awesome content coming your way. Now, I noticed that my last 2 non-Zoo News episodes, my conference recaps, got a lot of new listeners. And I don't know if those people were just there to learn about the conferences or get their own recap or if they stuck around. But just in case, hey, y'all, welcome. Welcome new people. Welcome old people. Welcome everybody. But yeah, this is a Zoo News thing. So what we do is people send me different Zoo News stories and tag me in them on socials and all of those things. And then I report out a little episode of Zoo News. So that is what you're now listening to. And if you want to contribute, you can do so by tagging me in things at Rossifari on the socials, at Rossifari Pod on TikTok, or emailing them to me, rossifaripod@gmail.com. And then I'll say your name at the end of the episode, whether I use your story or not. So pretty good deal for you, right? So that's what we're doing here. And welcome to everyone. And enough talking, John. Let's get to it.
Time for Zoo News. Time for Zoo News.
All right, so we always start off with our births and deaths, and we always start off whenever we have a new red panda to talk about. So congratulations to the Utica Zoo, which has announced the birth of a single baby red panda, or as we call them, red pandlets. Nothing much to report here, just a baby panda that is doing well, but it's always exciting to see another one added to the population. So congrats to the Utica Zoo. Disney's Animal Kingdom has announced the birth of an addax calf, also known as an adlet. And this is a really cool type of hoofstock, if you don't know what an addax is. This calf was born prematurely, but is actually doing really well and can already be seen on exhibit. So if you happen to be hanging out at Disney's Animal Kingdom, go and check this adorable little baby out. All right, I like this next story a month. So there is a Sumatran orangutan who made zoo news a few months ago when her care team at the Denver Zoo came up with a unique plan to help her handle her morning sickness. Her name is Irina, and the little bundle of joy that was giving her that morning sickness has now officially been born. She is a gorgeous baby girl, and she is named Siska. So Siska, the Sumatran orangutan, has joined the Denver Zoo family, and it's just cool to see, that story kind of get to its natural happy end, or beginning, I guess, since it's, a birth. The Chester Zoo in the UK has announced the birth of a new mandrill. And again, I know I keep saying new or baby after the word birth, but I probably don't need to, but it's weird not to when you're talking, I guess. But yes, so there is a mandrill baby that has been born at the Chester Zoo, and this new mandlet is absolutely adorable. If you haven't seen pictures of a baby mandrill yet, I highly recommend that you Google them. Primate babies always look so interesting to me. Sometimes weird is the word. Sometimes ugly is even the word. I mean, even a lot of human babies, not Miles, of course. My son was beautiful from the start. Cough, cough. But but I think that mandrill babies are just really unique looking and really cute. I'm actually a big fan. So I highly recommend that you Google mandrill baby and check them out. But don't Google mandlet, because that's not actually what they're called anywhere in the world except on the Rossifari podcast. We'll get there, y'all. We will get there. And then last but not least, for births, the Toledo Zoo has announced the birth of twin Amur tigers. Now, the parents are named Tabla and Titan. I obviously love the name Tabla because they are Indian drums, and we all know I like having animals named after drums, like my two dogs, Paradiddle and Flam. And these are actually the same parents that had twins at the Toledo Zoo back in 2021. So a name and gender reveal are scheduled for next week on the Toledo Zoo's social media pages, and I believe that the name reveal will include a naming contest. So go to @Toledo Zoo to try to help out with the names of these tigers. Of course, if we have births, we have to have deaths. And unfortunately, we do have a couple to announce this week. First of all, a harbor seal at the Jenkinson Aquarium has passed away. She was 34 years old and lived over a decade longer than the life expectancy of harbor seals, which illustrates just how well cared for she was. And it's sad to see her go. And I haven't said her name because actually her name might be my favorite thing about her. Her name, again, harbor seal, was Lucille, and it was spelled Luseal. I love that so much. If any of you have seen Arrested Development, there are a lot of seal jokes that happen in that show. I'm not going to give anything away if you haven't. I don't know if it's really necessary to do spoiler alerts for a show that's like over a decade old, but you should watch Arrested Development and you will understand even more than just the pun why I love the name Lucille so much. So it is sad to see Lucille go. And then the other story that we have for the deaths section this week is out of the Utica Zoo, and it's actually really sad. They had two cotton-top tamarins pass away, both at the age of 17 and within just a few weeks of each other. The two boys are brothers, and early necropsy findings found a hereditary tumor. And that is incredibly rare that they both had. And it is not contagious other than, through hereditary ways. And so there's no concern for any of the other tamarins at the zoo. But unfortunately, there was just no way to know this would happen. And so they lost two cotton-top tamarins at the age of 17. Sending love to everyone at the Utica Zoo. All right. And so that brings us to our zoo news outside of the births and deaths. And we're going to start with my favorite story of the week. This is just really cool, y'all. So the Toronto Zoo is the first zoo to participate in a program with Parks, which is sounds like parks, but it is spelled P-A, then capital R-X, like prescription, which is a natural prescription plan that is being piloted right now in Canada. This is a program that allows physicians to prescribe time outside for their patients' health, helping to connect patients to nature. Patients with this prescription get 50% off the admission price to the zoo and get to go and hang out with animals like on doctor's orders, right? So it has long been shown that a connection to nature and being outside and getting away can help with a lot of stress-related, injuries, diseases, whatever word you want to say here. Again, I'm a drummer. But yeah, it has been shown that that is the truth. And so now doctors can actually prescribe this in Canada. And it's not just the Toronto Zoo that they can recommend. They can send you to national parks and stuff like that. But for people that are near the Toronto Zoo, which not only is amazing, but is also situated in a much larger park where you can go and do other non-zoo-y park things, I guess, if that's your thing. I can't imagine why it is. You can just go and you get this awesome discount. And in some cases, insurance and stuff might cover it because it's a prescription. So this is just really cool. And I hope that other Canadian zoos get involved. And I'm a big believer in like true traditional medicine. I am not one of these people who, thinks that you can pray away cancer or whatever. But I do think that getting outside is wildly helpful for healing your body, mind, soul, whatever you want to say. And to codify that is just really cool. So yay, the Toronto Zoo. Yay, Canada. Yay, all those things. And yay, this next story. So we've been talking about Lee, the Pacific white-sided dolphin that had lived with Toki at Miami Seaquarium and was now swimming in that decrepit tank alone. Well, that is no longer the case. Miami Seaquarium has officially announced that their last Pacific white-sided dolphin that had lived with Toki is now living at SeaWorld in San Antonio, Texas. He's been united with other members of his species, including some of his family. So he is at a facility that is AZA accredited that will give him world-class care, and I could not be more excited that this whole story is finally over. Of course, now that I've said that, I'm sure that more drama will come up and I'll probably have to report on it again next week. But at least for the animals involved, this long national nightmare is now over. And speaking of facilities that I'm not super happy with right now, I mentioned last week that the Sea Life in Trumbull, Connecticut closed very quickly and kind of unexpectedly. Well, more has come out, and the closure occurred after 2 more USDA inspections took place, and I'm assuming they didn't go particularly well. So now the facility is gone. Most of the animals and merch have moved on to other Sea Life facilities, which I hope are being run better than the one in Connecticut. But I'm just not sad to see this particular one close. The National Zoo has started preparations for saying goodbye to their giant pandas, which originated with their announcement of Panda Palooza, a celebration of their pandas and what they're calling a giant farewell, because, giant pandas. They have recently started sharing memory videos of their pandas, and I can't watch them yet. I get emotional thinking about the fact that there are not going to be giant pandas at the National Zoo anymore. I mean, that's astonishing to me. But yeah, they've also been sharing memories that guests sent in. And all of this is just very emotional. So I am So sad to see that this is happening, and I definitely need to get back to the National Zoo and see the pandas at least one more time. And as you're thinking about the fact that we're about to be panda-free in this country, except for Atlanta, and it is largely believed that they will not get to keep theirs even to the end of 2024, also keep in mind the keepers. You know, I actually know a lot of the panda team at the National Zoo. There are some incredible people working with those pandas. And I just can't imagine what it's like realizing that you're going to be saying goodbye to your friends of many, many years. So don't forget about the keepers when you're thinking about all the other reasons that this is sad. The Calgary Zoo has announced another incredible donation to their polar bear program. The Taylor Family Foundation has made a donation of $3 million. And actually, that was added to the $8.5 million they had already donated to help develop a 2-acre polar bear habitat. Now, because of the whole, donating $11.5 million to the cause, the new habitat will be named the Taylor Family Foundation Polar Bear Sanctuary. And it is going to be a legendary polar bear exhibit. There are going to be huge trees and natural grasses and all kinds of cool, wonderful natural things that the polar bears that go there and live there will be able to enjoy. I am so excited to check this exhibit out when it opens and, when I manage to get to Calgary, which really doesn't happen every day, but it is where the AZA conference is next year. I don't actually know if the exhibit will be open by then, but I can't wait to see whatever stage it's in when I get out there for the conference. And speaking of major additions, the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo has announced their next major addition. Remember, they just opened up their new Asia section with red pandas and stuff, and now they are going to be making huge changes to their Coastal Cove region, bringing in a seal and sea lion habitat. So the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo really seems to be growing and growing effectively, and I'm really excited to see those changes. It's always been known as a really good zoo, and pretty exciting. So you get red pandas one year and pinnipeds the next. Hard to argue with that. Now, last week, I told you all that Cheyenne Mountain Zoo had sent their Matschie's tree kangaroo to Denver for breeding purposes. And one of the things that I wondered, and I didn't talk about this on the podcast because I didn't know the answer at that point in time, but I was wondering if Cheyenne Mountain Zoo was no longer going to have tree kangaroos. It's an important thing to consider because of the new rules of SSPs. I've talked about this on a previous Zoo News, but without going into too much detail, basically, there is now a certain number of facilities that needs to have these animals for them to stay an SSP. And don't get, confused. There will still be proper breeding done with animals that don't have an SSP. A lot of them will just be folded into the SAFE programs that exist, saving animals from extinction. It's a whole thing. But in order to maintain SSP status, you need to be in a number of facilities. And in this case, we now know the answer. Cheyenne Mountain Zoo did send their tree roo to Denver, but they have gotten SOM, spelled S-O-M, but it rhymes with Rome. SOM is one of the tree kangaroos that had been living at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. So now SOM is off at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, being an adorable tree kangaroo there. And that means that the SSP won't take a hit. So yay that. And SOM is awesome and adorable, and I'm sure will be an amazing ambassador for her species at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. All right. So a follow-up on another story that we've been talking about a lot on Zoo News. There is a North American river otter that the Maryland Zoo saved and took in and was taken care of in their animal hospital. And they have announced that she is doing well and can now be seen on exhibit in the zoo's main river otter habitat. So this is a fully rehabilitated river otter that is now just going to live her best life at the zoo. I love this. They have given her a name, which is Nora. And it's really funny because 3 different team members independently suggested that that name would fit her perfectly. And it's also an anagram for Naro, N-A-R-O. And if you don't know, Naro, or N-A-R-O, is what a lot of people in the industry refer to North American river otters as, because you can't just say river otters because there are other ones and, like giant river otters and stuff. And North American river otter takes too long to say when you have to keep saying North American river otter. It just gets really boring and repetitive saying North American river otter. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yes. So this is really, really great news out of the Maryland Zoo. And I really can't wait to go and see this little beauty on exhibit. The South Carolina Aquarium has announced that king tides are happening in Charleston this week. And because of that, they are asking citizen scientists to help them learn more about the flooding that will occur because of these king tides. They have set up 5 signs with QR codes throughout the Charleston area, and they are asking citizen scientists to scan the QR code and then send pictures and data to help them learn more about the phenomenon of king tides and the flooding that occurs. I think this is a really innovative way to get citizens involved in science. Mad props to South Carolina Aquarium, and I hope that everyone there stays safe and that they get the data that they want. And that brings us to
Stereotypical Animal Podcast theme song. Here to bring you to conservation news.
All right. So something that I've been kind of tracking a lot on here in the conservation news section is that more birds are showing up in super weird places all around the world. We have 2 different stories about that this week. First of all, a record-breaking number of North American songbirds have appeared in the UK this week. Now, it is believed that we understand why this is, which is not often the case with these birds, but Hurricane Lee ripped through the Atlantic, and it's believed that a lot of birds were blown off course and ended up in the UK, which is crazy to think about, but I don't know. That's what scientists are believing happened. But yeah, lots of North American songbirds in the UK right now. And then our friend and former guest, Sam Evans of the Honolulu Zoo, recently saw a northern harrier hawk in Hawaii. Now, this is a bird that is usually found on the mainland in North America, as well as in Europe, Africa, and Asia. Basically, Hawaii is the only place that this bird is not normally found, but somehow this little goober got there. I contend that he was on vacation and he had saved up a lot of money to make this happen and was finally visiting Hawaii, possibly because he is a huge fan of the Jurassic Park movies, which did a lot of filming down in Hawaii. I can't say this with any level of certainty, but that is my theory, and I am sticking with it. And by the way, my theory goes a little further, and I firmly believe that this bird is named Edgar. Edgar the harrier hawk, the northern harrier hawk, that is currently hanging out in Hawaii because he loves Jurassic Park. And in case you're wondering, I'm not just making this up now. This is what I actually told Sam when she was searching for information about it. So if you're wondering what it's like to be friends with me, I'm sorry, but it's like that. Apologies to literally all of my friends, and especially to Sam. The Colorado State Legislature has proposed a mountain lion hunting ban. And while the ban is mostly focused on mountain lions, it would also cover bobcats and Canada lynx, which are actually already federally protected and so shouldn't be being hunted. But there you have it. It's definitely interesting to see the reactions. I looked up this story and was doing some follow-up, and a whole lot of hunting websites have taken up the story, and they are real unhappy about it. It turns out that trophy hunters really like trophy hunting. Meanwhile, conservation websites are thrilled. So this is going to be another one of those real fun hunting versus conservationist battles that we see creep up a lot. Although, we've talked about this before, but there are actually also a lot of examples of hunters being great conservationists in their own ways. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one. Now, this next story could have gone in a couple different places, but I'm going to throw it into conservation news because the more we understand about an animal, the better we can help conserve that animal, right? So, new evidence shows that Central American river turtles swim together in like a herd, a turtle herd, a herd of turtles, a hurdle, turtle, a turtle. Hurdle, turtle. Those are already words. Anyway, I'm enjoying this way too much. But turtle just sounds like, well, turtle. Well. Anyway, the movement that was tracked was actually very similar to how a pod of whales moves, which is kind of amazing. Turtles are generally considered to be solitary animals, but this belief is being challenged by not just this study, but other studies which have presented evidence that turtles of different species might actually seek out companionship outside of breeding. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And as I mentioned in my AAZV recap episode, we don't always understand what we're seeing, and we can't apply what we're seeing from one species to another. So, just because Central American river turtles swim together in a hurdle anyway, it doesn't mean that this would be true of, say, red-eared sliders or whatever. But it has always kind of confused me that we think of these animals as solitary animals, and then you go and you see a log and there are 6 of them sitting together, sometimes with like 2 on top of 4 of the others or whatever, and it's more like a cuddle puddle than you normally get from solitary animals. So yeah, I'll be curious to see as this research continues to go on what we learn about the social structure of turtle society. Gosh, I'm a nerd. All right. So, oftentimes conservation news gets a little sad, but we actually have some really great news this week. So I already like the stuff I've talked about, but on top of that, Africa's white rhino population has rebounded for the first time in a decade, rising 5.6% to a population of 16,803. And while that is a relatively small number, it's not terrible, and they are listed as near threatened at this point. As a person who is a fan of species like red pandas and Machi's tree kangaroos, where there might be 2,500 left in the world, I see 16,000 and I'm like, woo, that's a huge number. And a lot of you who are into rare species might be thinking that as well. But I want to point out that we do know poaching is a problem, so it is important that we save the species now when they are near threatened, rather than wait until they are wildly endangered and then step in and say, hey guys, we got this. So yeah, but it is awesome to see a 5.6% increase in the population. And that's not the only population growth that we're here to talk about today, because the snow leopard population in Bhutan has grown by 39.5% recently. 39.5. That is incredible. It's made extra incredible by the fact that there has been a lot of population growth and a lot of development in Bhutan. So the threats to the species are actually increasing significantly in the area, but conservation efforts being so focused and going so well have actually led to population growth at a time of threats increasing. That is astonishing. Yay, snow leopards. Yay, rhinos too, but yay, snow leopards. And then last but not least in conservation news this week, I blanked on what I was in, sorry. I'm a pro-professional, y'all. Anyway, NOAA Fisheries has announced that the Department of Commerce will be investing $82 million over the next 3 years to monitor and model North Atlantic right whales. There are less than 350 of the species left, including only 70 reproductively active females. The money will go to a variety of programs, including developing on-demand fishing gear that is whale-friendly, an increase in enforcement efforts, and ways to reduce the risk of ship strikes. So hopefully all of this comes together and helps out. As a side note, I don't know if any of you saw a former president who wants to be president again mentioning that boat strikes don't kill whales, that there's only one recorded instance of a boat strike killing a whale in recent memory in a recent speech that he gave. But look, I don't care what you think about the dude, but that's just a blatant lie. Like, there's no way to interpret it that way. I don't know where he got that data from, probably his butt, but okay, that wasn't professional. But anyway, that's still where I'm thinking he pulled it from. But yeah, it turns out that that was just a blatant lie. We have a lot of evidence that boat strikes kill a lot of whales. And yeah, if you saw that, don't believe it. And if you didn't see it, don't seek it out. It's just, gross. Anyway, and that brings us to...
It's time for other news. It's time for other news. Hey, now, right now, it's time. It's time for other news. Hey, it's a segue to the part called other news.
All right, so a lemur that was privately owned in Missouri recently escaped, and there are now videos online showing police trying to chase it down. Gosh, I feel bad for those officers, but I feel worse for the lemur. Don't be a weird exotic pet owner. Bad exotic pet owners. Boo. This next one's kind of fun. A vet clinic in Brazil was confused by a patient that showed up after being struck by a car. It was a dog, but it was like an odd-looking dog. So it turns out that after genetic testing, it was actually the first ever dog-fox hybrid to be discovered. Now, the name of this individual animal is Dogzim, with an X in the middle there. And Dogzim is a cross between a pampas fox and a stray dog. She barks like a dog and moves like a fox. She has a cute little fox head with big pointy dog ears. It's adorable. And I am extra entertained by this because there was a year when Zoe and I fostered a working dog. She's now a police dog, a Malinois named Anna. And we would go out to the field behind our house and we would play fetch a lot. If you don't know about working Malinois, you have to basically kill yourself moving around enough to keep them, active and happy. And this was after her going to school for a full day. And they are energy, period. And so Anna was amazing. And we would go and play fetch sometimes for hours. And there was actually a fox that would hang out in the bushes of the park and seemed absolutely enamored by her. Sometimes this fox would literally come out and try to get close to her when we threw the ball far enough that it was far away from us. At one point, the fox even stole her ball, which I think he was trying to entice her over. So it turns out that apparently we might have had the first ever dog-fox hybrid if we had played that a little differently. But definitely cool to see, and definitely something that I found interesting given our experience with a fox that was anthropomorphism alert here, but definitely at least attracted to, if not flat out in love with, our good friend Anna. And speaking of dogs, a stray dog in Maharashtra, India, recently fell into a river right near 3 marsh crocodiles. Now, marsh crocodiles are a species that can average around 18 feet in length. And rather than enjoy a midday hot dog, ew, the 3 crocs teamed up to collectively push the dog back to safety. Scientists are baffled by this behavior, but I encourage those scientists to look at any adorable dog face, and I think they'll figure it out, especially if those scientists happen to be a horny fox. Just saying.
Oh, animal holiday.
All right, y'all. And so that brings us to our animal holidays for the week. Now, September is wrapping up, which is Save the Tiger Month and Save the Koala Month. And so, yeah, we'll be moving on from that. But first, we have one more animal day, which is the 29th, which is both Goose Day and Save the Koala Day. They get their own day right in the middle of their own month. I'm just saying, koalas have it pretty good right now. You know, except for the whole almost being wiped out by brush fires thing. But like on the calendar, they're having a good month. Anyway, and that brings us to October, which is Bat Appreciation Month, Croctober, Tamarin Month, Squirrel Awareness Month, and Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. And you may be wondering, what the hell is a tamarin? Well, it turns out that it is a dwarf buffalo, which is a small-hooved animal, and it lives on one island in the Philippines. It is the only endemic Philippine bovine, and I don't know how this weird little animal got its own month, but it's really cute and has a really dark black face and a kind of brown and black body, so now you know. I also want to let you know that a big part of Squirrel Awareness Month for Zoe and I is that any time that we are on a walk or just anywhere where we see squirrels, we make it a point to tell them that we are aware of them. We want the squirrels to know that their month is working. So I highly encourage all of you to just look at a squirrel when you see one during October and say, "Hi, squirrel. I'm aware of you," just so they know it's working. I'm not kidding when I say that we do this. And again, this is insight into what it is like to be my friend or to, in this case, you know, be my partner. And I would like to apologize to, again, just everybody who has ever had any of those titles. Anyway, moving on to our individual days for October. The first is International Raccoon Appreciation Day. The second is World Habitat Day. The third is Butterfly and Hummingbird Day. And the fourth is both World Animal Day and International Zookeeper Day. And I'm not sure why my voice cracked on the fourth, but maybe I'm entering second puberty. So good stuff all around. And those are your animal holidays for the week. All right, so there you have it, folks. Another week of Rossifari Zoo News is done. I would like to say thank you to my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Shank and Dr. Stephen Williamson, and also thank you to all of my patrons. If you'd like to support the pod, you can do so for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari, or you can send a one-time donation on Venmo to @Rossifari. All of those things are appreciated. If you don't want to support financially, you can also just do me a huge favor by going and leaving me a rating, preferably 5 stars, but you do you, and especially a review anywhere that you listen. Apple Podcasts and Spotify are the ones that help the most, but literally anywhere that you listen where you can leave a rating or a review, go ahead and do that. It really, really does help us out a lot. And also, as one other friendly reminder, we're now on YouTube, so you can just search Rossifari on YouTube, and you can listen to the episodes on YouTube, which is exciting, I guess. So yeah, now you know. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who contributed to this week's episode stories. Those names are Anya Keene, Colleen Lenahan, Kim Cooley, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Jesse Nicole, Sam Evans, Emily Rockbuck, Crystal Chapman, Elizabeth Charles, Jay Meredith, Dr. Laura Shank, Ren Howell, Lynn Vesley, Ali Malensky, and Kay Malensky. And I mentioned them last week, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if they are related, given the last name. Turns out they are. Turns out they are sisters. And even more amusingly than that fact, which I guess actually isn't really amusing. I'm easily amused, whatever. But this week, They sent me a story, different stories, but less than 3 minutes apart from each other. I'm just saying that sometimes, man, like you can really tell when people are related. So I'm pretty excited to have the Malensky family as part of the contributing team to Rossifari Zoo News. And I'll probably keep talking about them because apparently their whole family listens and get a kick out of the fact that I talk about them and make them podcast famous. So yay, Malenskys, woo! Anyway, don't forget to come back on Tuesday after our couple of recap episodes. We're finally going to get back to an actual Rossifari episode, and this one is going to be super animal heavy because I know y'all love the animal stuff. So looking forward to y'all being back on Tuesday, and until then, remember, friends, the words Newsy credits backwards are Steiderk Yiswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.
I didn't make any major mistakes recording this week. I didn't say anything dumb, so you guys don't get a post-credit scene. Oh, except for this. I guess I just gave you a post-credit scene. You're welcome.